All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop right into some VOD reviewing, and we're gonna be using my favorite tool, Insights.gg. So what we do is when we are gonna be looking at VODs, we're gonna be looking at some of the first key rounds. So we're gonna be looking at the pistol rounds, how those fights are taken. We're gonna take a look at some of the gun rounds, and then we're gonna be looking at some of the way that the second half kind of looks. So here, the first thing you do is you're choosing to smoke off, just right in front of tank, and you're choosing to smoke off heaven.
Nothing close. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Enemy spotted A.
Let's go. So we can actually look at this in a couple of ways. Right now, your team is just essentially clustered all together. We know right now, based off of what was happening and that your Sova's HP is kind of low, your Sova was actually taking an engagement versus this Reyna within the hookah, or within U-Haul. What you choose to do is you actually choose to take the engagement after he's done taking the engagement. So essentially, you just trade spots with him. This is something you don't want to do, because in this situation, the Reyna already knows a potential position of someone. You just end up trading spaces with him, spots with him, and then you end up losing the duel. This Reyna gets a full heal.
Last player standing.
Yeah, and you can see here they end up just pushing and then fighting. A couple things could have happened. People could have pushed up towards short. Here, granted, you didn't have smokes. You did have blind though. You did have blind. So if you wanted to fight this position, again, it's very, very important that we keep track of what utility and what tools do we have in order for us to be able to make choices, smarter choices within the game, right? What you could have done is actually easily throw in your blind for U-Haul after you get this first kill if you wanted to re-engage, right? So making use of our util, making sure that we win this first round, because these first rounds are really, really important. Wait, can you talk? I don't want to cut you off. Yes, you can talk.
Yeah, okay, so like my thought process there was that since we were also clustered towards short, I wanted to take U-Haul control, but I thought the Sova would be there with me. So
yeah,
we would
instead
essentially
he traded,
be double peeking.
Essentially he baited you. Yeah. And that's exactly what happens in these types of positions. That's why you don't want to really do that whole trade-off thing. A couple ways that you can alleviate these things is that you can actually calm that, hey, push this with me. But granted, your Sova was low. He was one shot. You can tell by his HP bar, he was one shot. So he was already scared. He fell back because 100% the thing he was thinking about was that I want to get healed by Sage. Sage ended up dying, getting shot from heaven, and then he wasn't able to get a heal. So in this position, the best case scenario that you could have done is actually use your own util. So after you trade off here, use your own util, blind, and then take the U-Haul control from here. So then that way you're using utility to push them back, and then now they'll be scared to aggress because they don't know how many people are holding U-Haul, right?
Right.
Cover going out. Cover going out.
I fucked up my arrow. Oh,
I think I smoked too early.
Oh,
nice.
unfortunate. Good trade though. Your team is just playing slow. Like this is not your fault. It's the pacing of your duelists, and your duelists are scared. So you can see here, and this is the one thing I always preach about is agent roles too. Agents, if you're gonna be picking an agent role and you don't know how to play the agent role, please don't pick that agent role. As a duelist, the first thing you should be doing, and the first thing that you should be thinking about and considering is clearing the site. Why do I have my Phoenix watching flank? For what? What are you doing, bro? That's not your job. Get your team into the site, clear the site, get traded, die, do whatever you need to do. Just get your team onto the site. And also that the smokes were a little early. Early. Okay, so this is the first buy round. This is a very, very crucial round for you guys. And this is the first time you guys are going to have guns. So let's see how this turns out. And this is fine. You can see here what's happening right now is that they've established a default without even saying anything. You guys have established a default, and this is a default leaning towards B. We have pretty much most of the information being handed off here towards B. But the one thing that you want to see is that your duelists are just off on their own doing shit all.
Right.
We need to swap this. We need to swap this. One of these duelists needs to be over here with these two, and then you would need to have to be somewhere over here. You would need to change position with someone because you essentially because again, you guys don't have a really true senti or even a true lurker. The goal of a senti, the goal of a lurker is to try and play away from your team, especially if you're playing the rat. Especially if you're playing more of that lurking style sentinel, you want to play away from your team. You want to play just completely away from them. Great kill. You got the opening pick.
Spike down.
And then drop
B.
the bomb in B. They know that you're long. So from here, one of the duelists should have came over to help secure the bomb. Nice kill.
One enemy remaining.
And the last one is in U-Haul, or what? Last one's in hookah. We know that he's with the bomb. And he just gets owned. This right here, this guy could have just hid, and then because you were locked into a crouch fight, he could have just killed you. So here, trying to take engagements, one of the most important things, especially in this game, is not locking yourself into duels like this and then spraying down. So we'll watch 2 more rounds from here, and then we'll watch the end of the half, and then the first 2 pistol rounds of the other by half.
Thanks.
So again, you can see the exact same thing is happening. This is I hate seeing this. So everyone will actually see this in the ranked games a lot. And this is one thing that I hate seeing. Lurking Reynas. I'm gonna lurk with Reyna. No. If you're a Reyna, play with your team. Get your team in. Trade your team. You're supposed to bait your team. That's the whole premise of the character. You're not supposed to play by yourself. If you play by yourself, you're literally giving yourself the biggest disadvantage of your life. You can see here that you guys are grouping up towards short, so obviously it's going to be an A hit because the spike's towards here. This Phoenix needs to play with you guys. This Phoenix needs to play with you guys because you guys need a duelist to get you guys in. But he also chooses...
Nice.
He also chooses to go towards B. Granted, now the team's moving towards B. Cool, good picks. And then, but this is how it should normally be set up. This is how any single match should be set up. If you should have your Omen or whoever's playing the lurk, playing opposite of the team. Not the duelists. The duelists should not be doing this. And your team should be supporting your duelists. So here in this position, one of the biggest things that could be the no-no is maybe the Sova and the Sage should be closer. Should be playing with the duelists. So then that way, they can either, one, trade the duelists or support the duelists by getting them in and helping them take those gunfights. But here, we can see that this Reyna just has a mind of its own, just doing its own thing. And we meet up. It's a 2v5. TP. Unfortunate. This is just unfortunate.
These games were like 5 in the morning and I just couldn't sleep.
So you like throwing this front smoke right here. This smoke is kind of bad. It's not really good, especially if you have a Sage too, because the Sage can just wall this, right? So there could be a wall here, and then the Sage can just protect that herself. A better smoke that you could throw as Omen, if you really don't know what to smoke, is you could smoke off these 2 points right here. So just right here, the tank, and then just beside triple. You can smoke off these 2 chokes. The reason why these 2 smokes are really, really good is because what it does is it cuts the sight in half completely, dividing it. So what happens is that the only sight line you really need to check is U-Haul, and then clear out U-Haul. Also, if this is smoked off, this also will cover from heaven as long as you're running tight. If you're running wide, along here, you'll get owned. But if you run tight into here, you'll be protected by that smoke as well. So that's why the smoke's very, very good. And then what you guys can do is you can abuse the smokes. You can either play in the smokes and then swing out, get the rest of the map control. You can spam through the smokes. This is why these smokes are really, really good, because they can't see and the map's cut completely in half. Also, one thing that I'll say as an Omen as well, you have to make sure that you are in protection. Because right now, if that firewall wasn't there to protect you, you would actually be right in the open. And if you got peeked through U-Haul, you'd be dead. You see one in U-Haul right now. Calls SMH. Yeah, you all. And what you also actually have a habit of doing is you actually have a habit of clearing your corners while shift walking. So there's another mechanic that we can actually learn and I can actually teach you as well throughout the game. Because one thing that happens is that if you clear corners shift walking, 99%, this is actually asking to die. It is actually the worst thing you can do. It is the worst thing that you can do. In these types of positions, shift walking and clearing corners is the worst thing you can do. So you need to learn how to practice taking silent steps.
That's what you do when you're peeking, right?
Yes.
Because there's a distance that I can take a step without making a noise.
Exactly. And that's the silent step. And taking that step puts you at full speed to clear corners, and it also heightens your peeker's advantage. If you and the one thing about Valorant that a lot of people also need to know is that within this game there's something called peeker's advantage. So peeker's advantage should be abused. So it's just essentially the idea that the peekers will have the advantage because of the way that the ping and the server connects and talks to each other. It gives the advantage to the person who's swinging first. So that's why if you take these swings at full speed, you'll have this advantage. But if you take these swings and you're shift walking, you actually get rid of that advantage completely. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get to the half here, and we'll see how this is looking at the half. Nice kill. So here you can see great crosshair placement, great pre-aiming, free. Super free. He was not ready for that. And that's also part of the peeker's advantage too, is that if you, as long as your crosshair placement is good too, those kills are pretty free. There you kind of bum yourself into that fight by crouching into a spray. That's something you need to learn how to take is taking your engagements like by bursting rather than sitting down and spraying, because again, that's the second time you did that to the Omen. Granted, this Omen was bad, and this is also the second time this VOD that he wasn't able to kill you because of that or punish you for that. Right. So that's fine, but normally you would want to burst in those types of situations because it makes it easier. So this was a good clear, but here in this situation, the reason why this was hard is because here in this situation, if you did the silent step and you stepped faster, she wouldn't have had as much time to react. Here, she pretty much reacted instantly based off of your shot. She could have even reacted faster if she was holding a little bit wider. So if she was holding here, she would be able to react faster. But again, that's a situation, and that's actually showing you why peeking while shift walking is bad. You should never do it. In this situation, if we actually can go back to the scoreboard, you can see the reason why this is actually okay is because, one, he has confidence. He's fragging out. He's a top frag. He has the most kills in the game. He has confidence that his shot is hitting, and it's proven that his shot is hitting. So to be able to play for himself in this situation is totally fine. The first round and the first round of this game, he played for the team, and that didn't work out because they ended up losing. So here now what he's doing is he's trusting himself to be able to carry, because currently right now he's carrying. This is fine. This is a great call, and this is a great adjustment as well. So that's why this is okay, and that's why you always want to look at the halves of the game and see how you're doing, and see how you're playing, and see how your team is playing, and react off of that, and then play off of that. So here in this position, one of the biggest things I can critique is have a quicker reaction to utility like this. So darts, Sova drone, things like that. These things need to die instantly. Cypher camera. These things need to die instantly. You reacted like a snail here. Granted, maybe it's because it was 5 a.m. But look, you see the dart. You should have stepped back and already shot this dart. You should have looked and turned around right away. Based off of that, you reacted really slow, and you still chose to repeat. You're actually a beast. Oh, so your team's zoning. Planet A. Okay, that's fine. So you anchored, which is really good. That's not what you want, right? Okay. Here, this happens a lot. This happens a lot. I'm gonna tell you right now, please, for the love of whatever you believe in, do not spray down with your Spectre. Please do not take long-range engagements with your Spectre. What you can do here, actually, is instead run up to this guy, Ferrari him with your Spectre, run and gun him. Abuse your gun, and it's what it's meant for. This guy has a Marshall. He has the advantage in this position. This is not a Phantom. You don't want to take these types of engagements with this gun. It's not good. So please don't do this. You could have easily held this corner. You could have easily ran up, Ferrari this guy, run and gun this guy, You can see here he's missing his shots. So having that confidence of running up to him with your Spectre while you're shooting him is pressure. And we talk a lot about pressure, and I know a lot of people from my C9 class, if you guys are here, shout out to you guys. I know a lot of people from training grounds will always remember me talking about pressure. So that pressure that you're applying by running into his face is going to make him panic. Abuse the mechanic, abuse the gun, use the gun to its fullest potential. So 2 towards A. You guys have a 4 stack there. Okay, you know one's there. You chose to blind. No one. Okay. So it just seems like this KJ is just owning. Okay, this KJ's in. Okay!
Yeah.
1v4! And this guy's probably the one that's towards B. This guy was probably the one that's looking towards B. You have your knife out?
Because he said he wanted a knife.
Yeah, screw this guy. I always play for the win.